KNUS Denver. Sleep deprived and heavily caffeinated.
All right, let's do this then.
This is the Jeff and Bill Show.
I don't agree with that.
They don't always agree, but hey, at least they have coffee.
Coffee.
And each other.
I love you, man.
God help us.
I want to bless him. We need all the help we can get.
Now here's Jeff Hunt and Bill Thorpe. The Jeff and Bill Show on News Talk 710 KNUS.
7 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Wednesday, June 18th, 2025. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned in to the Jeff and Bill Show. News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights, hottest takes from the right, left, and center. Colorado's blue, America's red. Iran's in ruins right now. It all meets right here on the Jeff and Bill Show as we involve you in the conversation. So give us a call, 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. Coming up after news and comment with Blake Olson. Speaking of Iran, John Decker, White House correspondent, can give us the latest on what's happening in the Middle East. Very tense situation. What happened overnight? What is Donald Trump saying? How is Israel going to respond to all this? We'll give you the latest with John Decker. But now it's time for News and Comment with Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, News and Comment.
Good morning. It's Wednesday, 60 and clear in Denver as the sun starts to shine brightly, expecting a high of 82 today. The 7-10 5-day forecast coming up. Our top story, Americans are being warned not to travel to Iran. The State Department issued that warning Tuesday as attacks have escalated between Israel and Iran. There are also reports that the White House is considering an offensive strike against Iran. Members of Congress in both parties are looking to limit U.S. involvement in the conflict. And that's where Tucker Carlson and Ted Cruz come into play. A healthy debate among conservatives, their best imitation of, I guess, Jeff and Billy.
How many people live in Iran, by the way?
I don't know the population.
At all?
No, I don't know the population.
You don't know the population of the country you seek to topple?
How many people live in Iran?
92 million.
Okay. Yeah,
How could you not know that?
I don't sit around memorizing population tables.
Well, it's kind of relevant because you're calling for the overthrow of the government.
Why is it relevant whether it's 90 million or 80 million or 100 million? Why is that relevant?
Because if you don't know anything about the country...
I didn't say I don't know anything about
Okay, what's the ethnic mix of Iran?
They are Persians and predominantly Shia. Okay, this is cute.
It's not even... You don't know anything about Iran. So
okay, I am not the Tucker Carlson expert on Iran.
You're a senator who's calling for the overthrow of the government. You're the one who claims anything about the country.
No, you don't know anything about the country. You're the one who claims they're not trying to murder Donald Trump. You're the one who can't figure out if it was a good idea to kill General Soleimani, and you said it was bad.
You don't believe they're trying to murder Trump?
Yes, I do.
Because you're not calling for military strikes against them in retaliation. And if you really believe that...
We're carrying out military strikes today.
You said Israel was.
Right, with our help. I said we. Israel is leading them, but we're supporting them.
Well, you're breaking news here because the U.S. government last night denied, the National Security Council spokesman Alex Pfeiffer denied on behalf of Trump that we were acting on Israel's behalf in any offensive capacity.
No, we're not bombing them. Israel's bombing them.
You just said we were.
We are supporting Israel.
High stakes. You're a senator. If you're saying the United States government is at war with Iran right now, people are listening.
Okay.
Wow. The press hoping to hear more from the president today on everything Iran and stopping them from developing nukes. Authorities in D.C. say a 39-year-old woman was struck and killed by a semi carrying tanks from Saturday's military parade. Police say the accident happened Monday night as tanks were being returned to a rail yard in Maryland, and the woman ran into the roadway and fell in front of the truck. Man. Elon is suing the state of New York over its new hate speech law. The Stop Hiding Hate Act became law last December and requires social media companies to disclose how they control hate speech on their platforms. The law goes into effect this week, with Musk hoping the court will block New York from enforcing it. Police in Aurora believe gang activity linked to TDA is taking place at a local apartment building again. Chief Todd Chamberlain showed a video recorded at the Innovation at Fitz Apartments on Potomac Street. He did that at a press conference on Tuesday. It showed 9 armed men banging on the door of an apartment of 2 people from Venezuela. Chamberlain said 2 of those involved have been taken into custody, and subsequent investigation shows the activity is linked to TDA or an affiliate. Chamberlain said officers have been aggressively patrolling the complex since the video was turned into police. That terrorist, Mohammed Solomon, the 45-year-old Egyptian national who tried to kill as many people as he could with his homemade bombs at the Pearl Street Park in Boulder, he is set to appear in court this morning for a preliminary hearing at 10. Let's see. Arnold. He was on The View yesterday, and they were trying to get him to condemn deportation.
You are an immigrant. You're an immigrant in this country. Yeah. Did you have a visceral reaction to what they're doing, what ICE is doing, when you see the videos of it?
Well, I tell you, you said that the immigrant, I'm so proud and happy that I was embraced by the American people like that. I mean, imagine I came over here with the age of 21, with absolutely nothing. And then to create a career like that. I mean, in no other country in the world could you do that. Yeah. Every single thing, if it's my bodybuilding career, if it's my acting career, becoming governor, the beautiful family that I've created, all of this is because of America.
That's true.
And so this is why I'm so happy to see firsthand that this is the greatest country in the world, and this is the land of opportunity.
Oh, and they hated that, and it gets better.
Whoopi was just seething. You could see it.
She was. Everybody's applauding for America, and she's just staring at him. And it gets better, Jeff, because I'll play part 2 next hour. I don't know if you've heard part 2, but I'm sure you have. I mean, it is
about
wonderful.
Being a guest here?
Arnold, yes. Arnold came through and just crushed it in front of those witches, man. It was beautiful, beautiful. So I'll play that next hour. The Florida Panthers win their 2nd straight Stanley Cup, defeating the Oilers 5-1 last night in Game 6. And the Rockies beat the Nationals 10-6. 58 in Centennial, 59 in Thornton, and 60 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Skies will be clearing as dry high pressure sets over Denver and the Front Range. Early morning temps will be in the lower 50s. With sunshine for Wednesday, highs will be a pleasant lower to mid 80s with lows upper 50s Wednesday night. Hot temps just in time for the changeover to summer Thursday through Saturday. Sunny and dry, middle and upper 90s with lows low and mid 60s. Skies clear in the overnight. Weather brought to you by Colorado's Best Roofing, reminding you to protect your home from the harsh Colorado weather. Schedule your free no obligation roof inspection at roofingcolorado.com. Meteorologist Don Watzel in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
All right, here's the latest coming in with Israel and Iran. New York Times reporting Iran's supreme leader, you got to help me pronounce his name. Khomeini, right?
Khomeini, yeah.
Khomeini.
Yeah, the Ayatollah Khomeini, yeah.
On Wednesday, dismissed President Trump's threats and rejected his call for an unconditional surrender, adding to fears of a wider conflagration in the Middle East. Intelligent people who know Iran, the nation, and the history of Iran will never speak to this nation in the language of threats, because the Iranian nation cannot be surrendered, Khomeini said in a televised statement. According to Iranian state media, the Americans should know that U.S. military intervention will undoubtedly be accompanied by irreparable damage. His remarks on the sixth day of the war were a defiant response to Israel and to President Trump, who has suggested that the United States could join Israel's bombing campaign against Iran's nuclear program. Any potential U.S. military strike would likely have a much more devastating impact on Iran's nuclear program than Israel can wreak alone. And Israel has been pressing for U.S. military to assist its efforts. Mr. Trump has long maintained that he opposes getting involved in foreign wars and expressed hopes for a nuclear deal with Iran. But he said on Tuesday that our patience is wearing thin. Israel continued to pummel Iran. In the early hours of Wednesday, more than 50 Israeli warplanes attacked targets across the Iranian capital, according to the Israeli military, which said that a nuclear centrifuge plant was among the targets. The Iranian authorities did not immediately comment on the claims, though the UN's nuclear watchdog said it had information suggesting that 2 centrifuge production facilities had been hit. Iran fired about 30 ballistic missiles at Israel in 2 barrages after midnight and 2 waves of drones on Wednesday morning, but most of the missiles and all the drones were intercepted. Israel said there was no immediate report of casualties, and Iran's missile salvos appeared to be limited compared with earlier attacks. Now, the Wall Street Journal, Bill, has got this kind of map of Iran's military commanders that have been killed by Israeli strikes. And it lists kind of in a flow chart. Imagine like an organizing chart at a company with the supreme leader at the top and then his commanders, and then it works its way down and it lists who's still alive and who's not. And Bill, out of all of these, there's only 2 left.
Yeah, not a lot.
The supreme leader and then the head of the Quds force, the commander of that. But the commander of the central headquarters eliminated, the chief of staff of the armed forces killed, the intelligence chief killed, the aerospace Air Force commander killed, deputy intelligence chief killed, the Quds Force intelligence chief killed, surface-to-surface missile array commander killed, aerospace forces aerial unit commander killed, UAV force commander killed, force deputy intelligence chief killed. Like, maybe don't go to work today.
And the guy that became the head of the military 5 days ago is dead. That was quick. Just 5 days ago, they killed the head of the military in the original strike, and they killed his replacement yesterday. Wow. That maybe you don't show up. Maybe you take your sick days and just say,
take
no,
off
I'm done.
the uniform, bury it in the backyard, and go farm.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. And the question I've got, I mean, you and I texted a little bit on this yesterday, is Donald Trump, there are a lot of people that were running around yesterday. Donald Trump in his statements yesterday used the royal we and saying we have air power and we are going to do this. And I kind of want your impression, and I'm going somewhere as far as where Trump is and whether or not we get into a larger entanglement in Iran. But when Donald Trump is using the royal we in that case, do you think that he is doing it to claim credit, or do you think he's doing it to claim ownership? And what I mean by that is, I can see an interpretation where Donald Trump is using the we as we are marching with Israel and we are doing this together. And I can see another take where it's the we where he wants to claim credit about the great stuff, because we have seen in Donald Trump's pronouncements in the past that anything great is due to he and his influence. Anything bad is due to somebody else's failures and incapacities and not related to him. So he seems to want to grab onto things that go well and get labeled and branded with them. So in your opinion, is he using the we to claim credit, or is he using it to claim ownership? How do you take it?
And you're talking about the we in the sense of how we're responding to Iran.
Us going after Iran, bombing the missiles, everything else.
I don't think he wants to be in this situation, personally. I think what he would love to do, to spend his time on, knowing the man and watching him, is U.S. economic issues. I think he'd like to be doing trade deals all day.
Golf.
I think he would. But I think he is genuinely an America first type of guy, right? But he's not so naive that he doesn't understand what's happening between Israel and Iran and the threat that Iran faces towards Israel and the problems that Israel has to address. And so he's not naive, but it's not something that he wants to lead on. But like any politician, if things go well, of course he's going to take the credit, So I think that that's how it's playing out. I don't think he's a neocon. I don't think he's looking to bring democracy to the Middle East and ready to put forth 20 years, trillions of dollars, and thousands of lives in order to bring Afghanistan democracy type of thing. I just don't see that playing out. But I think he's coming along. He's going, all right, I've got to deal with this. I think he'd be far more motivated to bring peace between Russia and Ukraine than he would have stepping in and dealing with Israel and Iran issues. But Israel is rightfully responding to the threat that Iran has. Israel's the big dog in the Middle East right now. They have systematically taken out Hamas, Hezbollah. They've brought regime change to Syria. They're now going after Iran. And so he's like, well, okay, I've got to be involved with this. It's not necessarily, I'm not a neocon. I wish I could be doing trade deals. I've got to deal with this. He's going to be tough with Iran. He's calling them for unconditional surrender. And we've heard reports that he's kind of trying to rein Israel back from killing the supreme leader.
Yeah, which is interesting.
So I think it's complicated. I think it's complicated. But to your point, is he going to take credit? Sure.
Yeah.
Would any politician take credit? Absolutely.
And that's where I am too, is I believe that he is taking credit, not ownership. I believe that is the filter that he's functioning on, because we've talked about it, his descriptions are very black and white. It's either the best, nobody's ever seen this before, it's nobody on earth, it's never been the biggest one ever, or it's never been the worst. There's no gradient. It's either 0 or 100 with him. So in this case, when this is going on, it seems like credit. Because I believe that he was doing ownership, there would be some more tough talk. I understand the idea of unconditional surrender, things like that, but he's talked about, it's not the language that he's used, but the idea of bombing you back to the Stone Ages kind of a thing. He's used that bromide before, not in that language, but that idea, and I feel that if he was really leading the charge as far as the attacks in Iran, we'd have more of that type of talk out of him.
I think you're exactly right.
Now, you mentioned something, though. You mentioned this about the idea of America first. I asked this to you in the text messages yesterday, but we made sure not to talk about it specifically so we could do it here.
Yeah.
Is this America first? Is this a fulfillment of that promise, or is it breaking that promise?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'd love to hear from our listeners, too. Give us a call, 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line, 720-819-5115. Now, you can be America first and not America only.
Oh, I like that. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
In this case, I think Trump's reluctantly being pulled into this. I think he's going to be strong. He's a smart leader. He's going to respond. He's going to support our ally, Israel. And I think he's still America first. I don't think he's America only. But give us a call, 303-696-1971. Is Donald Trump responding properly? Is he throwing off America first by getting involved with Israel? You'd like to see him rein back. I think our usual caller, Matthew, if you remember, would say that Donald Trump is getting distracted and pulled into another global conflict he shouldn't be a part of. So if Matthew's listening, give us a call. We'd love to talk to you. Do you think Donald Trump is remaining America first by getting involved in the Israel-Iran issue? Would love to hear from you. All right, Guys, let's talk alarm detection systems. We know reliability isn't optional when business security is on the line. It's essential. And businesses here in Colorado trust alarm detection systems for the highest level of service and expertise. Think about the time you could be saving by having just one source for your cameras, keycard access, fire and intrusion systems. ADS offers expert alarm installation and testing by highly trained technicians, 24/7 professional monitoring, same day or next day service upon request because downtime's not optional. Dedicated teams for cameras, access control, and fire alarms, and over 300 security professionals working for you. Choosing ADS means your business stays protected and will be ready to open tomorrow. They combine human monitoring with the latest AI camera technology, preventing crime in real time. They're trusted in Colorado by small and large businesses, including many Colorado schools. Their security experts will review your system for free. Go to adsalarm.com to schedule your appointment today. adsalarm.com, alarm detection systems, the first choice of Front Range and Colorado businesses. adsalarm.com. We'll continue with your phone calls and texts. This is this the return of George W. Bush and democracy to the Middle East with Iran? Or is Donald Trump truly, genuinely America first and just getting involved reluctantly because he supports Israel? What do you think? Join the conversation. 720-819-5115 is the text line. The phone line, 303-696-1971. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Joining us now, White House correspondent John Decker with the latest on the very tense situation in the Middle East. Good morning, John. Thank you for joining the Jeff and Bill Show.
Yeah, good morning.
John,
hi, how are you?
Great.
Good morning to you.
Yeah, give us the latest. What are you seeing in Washington, D.C.? What have you heard from the White House?
Well, the president meeting with his national security team much of the day yesterday, and he'll be doing that much of the day today as well. The first time we'll have an opportunity to hear and see the president will be early this afternoon when the new U.S. ambassador to France is sworn in. That will be in the Oval Office, and then we can get an idea about the president's thinking about whether or not the U.S. will get involved militarily against Iran.
What's your sense from the president? We know he was critical of the war in Iraq, Afghanistan. I know he doesn't want to be drawn in critical of kind of the old Republican neocon approach to wars in the Middle East. You're watching him, you're hearing from him. What do you think his position is on this?
Well, the president, often brags about the fact that he did not get the U.S. involved in any wars during his first term in the White House. And he is someone who does not like to see the U.S. get involved militarily in a lot of situations. Now, there are exceptions to that. And when America's national security is at risk, the president weighs those issues, and that's what he's doing right now in, having these conversations with his national security team.
So if Iran was to respond to the United States, if in this Israeli conflict that's taking place, somehow America was affected, do you think that would give the president green light to respond then?
Oh, well, sure. I mean, he'd do anything, obviously, as the commander-in-chief to protect America's national security interests and to protect America as a whole. He's not going to, get input or seek input from Congress. He's going to make this decision on his own. That's despite what some members of Congress would like to see. I think that really we're looking at a timeline here of the next 24 to 48 hours in terms of whether or not the U.S. gets involved militarily.
We'll be watching for his comments later today. John Decker, White House correspondent. We know you have a very busy day. Thank you very much for taking time to join the Jeff and Bill Show today. John Decker tracking all of that. I Bill, to that point, I think that's what Trump's looking for.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and I don't think he doesn't want Congress to give him permission. I think he's just going to... Yeah, but it's difficult. The idea that in 24 to 48 hours we're going to talk about getting militarily involved in... a possible conflict in another nation. This was what we were trying to avoid in Ukraine and Russia. And people had been saying, the entire time we've been on the show here and previous to that, oh no, this will drag us into World War III. Oh, why would you possibly want to get Americans involved in this conflict, etc.? And now we're having the same basic conversation. The context is a bit different, but it's just another point on the globe. And that's interesting. And again, is this America first? Is this?
Lots of text messages on this. Jason in Denver, he should be careful with mission accomplished banter. Looking back at the beginnings of Afghanistan, Iraq war, when Russia invaded Ukraine, all looked like huge successes in the first weeks, and years later, all were complete quagmires. Jason, I think you're right in that case. I think you're very right, too. And I think the United States should be incredibly sober-minded about regime building, having to send troops. This is, Bill, why, in part, I don't take the threat that, China is so involved everywhere over the world so much. Where I'm like, all right, do it. Do it. Because when you... any empire, Rome... British, French, Portuguese, you get too overextended. It's really hard to manage.
And what I'm worried about, when you brought the China example, what I'm worried about is that China learned a lesson from America in the last century that military power is fantastic, but economic power trumps everything. And that's what I think China's trying to do, is China is going around and trying to find those economic levers, because the more they can entangle their businesses with other nations, the harder it becomes to declare them to be an enemy. So that becomes really, really, really difficult. And what do you do with John Decker's statement there, where he talks about Donald Trump talking? We heard this all the time during the run up to the election, that under Trump there were no wars. Under Trump, no wars. The world was a calmer, safer place. Under Trump, no wars. We're less than 6 months in, and we have a new war. What do we do with that? What happens?
That's why I think he's so hesitant. I think John Decker was exactly right about that. Here's 9588's response on the text message line. Trump's being sucked in. This is Ukraine 2.0. If Republicans were in arms about us, or up in arms about us supporting Ukraine because it took resources away from the U.S., why would we think a different country would change the mindset? Now, I was never a fan of America only, and yes, this is who Trump is, but we can't support another country.
Yeah.
And are we going to get into having to rebuild this country? That's where I give a little bit of pause, because Afghanistan was so backwards in its culture that you can see it. We leave and they hand it right back to the guys that we fought, and the girls all got kicked out of school, and all that stuff. And you have guys marrying 15-year-olds, and it went right back to being the backwards country that already was, after trillions of dollars or billions of dollars were spent there, and the lives of our sons and daughters. So Iran, though, I'm a little different, because I've had friends that had to flee the Iranian regime, raise their families here in America. They were very westernized. Iran was kind of a westernized country before the fall of the Shah. So I kind of go, well, maybe if you got rid of the supreme leader, things would change. But gosh, what's that old saying? Same boss, old boss, same as the new boss, same as the old boss.
Yeah.
And you could end up with more Islamist crazies now in control of a very big country. So, I'm very hesitant, but also, maybe it could work out. It was a nice country prior to the fall.
Yeah. What I'm worried about is the ease at which so many people that were worried about a larger entanglement in Ukraine and Russia now seem to be gung-ho with the idea of military action inside of Iran. Just the casual nature of it, where, we could just go in there and drop these bombs to do this. Hang on. You understand, you're advocating for American assets to attack another sovereign nation. That was, for me, a really hard line inside of Ukraine. I was happy to provide all the support and all the money and anything that we can do behind the scenes to support their effort. But I did not want us to get militarily involved, because then we would be attacking Russians. I have the same problem here. I have got all the support in the world for Israel, and I would open up all of our armory, more or less, most of our armory, and say, what do you want? And you can buy it, and this, etc. I'm not giving it to you to just say, I'm not just going to change the flag on the side of the plane and then you give it to us back. No. Because that, to me, is just window dressing. If you want to use this, we will make it available to you, and you can purchase it off the shelf. We can custom it, but that's going to take longer for you if you want to. That's what I'm looking at. If you want to go after, and you want bunker busters to go after some of these nuclear facilities, which is some of the talk that I had heard yesterday on other outlets, was, why is it our planes
pony up the cash?
Yeah, why aren't they purchasing it? Why don't we let them?
Israel's
if that's
got
it,
money.
Yes. And if that's what we want to do, that's what I'm looking at.
That's a fair. I think that's a very fair position to be in.
Then it's them. Then they can choose to do with that as we want. We are supporting our ally. I know that there are going to be people in the Arab world that are going to be mad at us. However, we're selling a bunch of stuff to Saudi Arabia right now. They're happy to fly our planes. There are a whole lot of people in the Middle East that are happy to fly our planes, happy to shoot our missiles, and happy to shoot our guns.
On that point, maybe that scratches Trump's deal itch.
See, that's where I was going to, is the fact that it's a negotiator.
Because he doesn't want to get involved. We need the cash over here.
Yeah. And he gets another deal. That's really his lifeline.
Helping out Donald Trump.
Oh, my God. Well, wonders never cease.
1514. I'd say Trump is still America first, but this issue is really just kind of putting out a fire that started up. On the plus side, we finally seeing some of the payoff for all the money we've given to Israel.
Well, here's the thing.
It's coming back.
Yeah, question I've got on that one is, can we quote Billy Joel? We didn't start the fire. Who started it? Because in this instance,
I think it's Iran.
Well, in this specific instance, I would say that it is Israel, only because Israel crossing into the territory of Iran and taking out leadership. If Iran had done the same thing inside of Israel, I would view them as starting it. Just like I do view the current conflict, while there is long history inside of the Middle East with conflict as far as the West Bank and the Palestinians and Israel and everything else, the current military action and what's going on, to me, is a result of the October attacks perpetrated by Hamas, who violated Israel's sovereignty and killed civilians. That, to me, is the impetus for the current military action. It's Hamas's actions inside of the sovereignty of Israel. And in this one, I have to be consistent. This is Israel taking action inside a sovereign state of Iran. I can support Israel for doing it, but I have to be consistent about the fact that they are going into another country and killing leadership, and we would condemn Iran for doing the same thing inside of Israel.
9353. You don't want us to use bunker busters against their nuclear facilities, or you don't want us to sell them any bunker buster bombs. I think we're okay with that. I think.
Yeah, I wouldn't use them. I would sell them. Yeah, that's what I do. Is I would sell them. I wouldn't use them because I don't want American flags on those planes or American soldiers dropping those bombs.
I don't mind the cash coming our direction either. But here's my question: yeah. What if Iran, this is from a text messenger, what if Iran had a nuke and did drop it on Israel? What would our role be then? Ooh, really good question. Join the conversation, 303-696-1971. If Iran had a nuke, dropped it on Israel, what would the United States have to do in that case? Give us a call, 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. Let's talk L&L Heating and Air Conditioning. Warming up today, 84 degrees. It's going to be 101 on Friday and 100 degrees on Saturday if your AC is not working. Well, we got the solution for you. It's our friends over at L&L Heating and Air Conditioning. It happened to me last summer. Our AC line went out, froze up. We had an old AC system. It was like 15 years old, builder grade. We got it improved. We're thrilled. L&L Heating and Air Conditioning delivered for us. It was a one-day installation, no stress, personal service from start to finish. Our home totally comfortable no matter what the weather. With L&L Heating and Air Conditioning, we got peace of mind. Here's the deals they got going on right now. A free programmable thermostat or carbon monoxide detector with the purchase of a new furnace or air conditioner. Our AC or our thermostat system connects to my phone now, which is great to be able to use. No emergency charges to come out and help you. A $0 trip fee. They'll price match value guaranteed on any equipment that you may find elsewhere. They'll meet the price on it. Free estimates. Licensed and insured, and a 5-year labor warranty. Everything works great. Our family couldn't be happier. So if you're looking for fast, honest, and reliable service, I highly recommend L&L Heating and Air Conditioning. Here's their phone number, 720-851-1691. Online at bestdenverhvac.com. Again, the phone number 720-851-1691. bestdenverhvac.com. bestdenverhvac.com. We'll continue with your phone calls and texts. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. We're talking Iran, Israel, America's response. What do you expect the U.S. to do? Is this another Middle Eastern quagmire we're going to get pulled into? Is Trump remaining committed to the America First agenda? Rob in Tennessee texting in, fortunately, Israel cannot carry the largest penetrating bombs they would need to attack and destroy the deepest Iranian nuclear facilities. Only our B-2 bomber can. That's interesting.
Yeah, I knew that, but again, you have to talk about, do you sell it to them?
Buy the bomber then?
Yeah, I mean, would you have to? I mean, again, that's the issue, because if you're like, well, in order to do this, you can't really. I don't think we have a rent-a-plane. So that's the issue, and for me, the line is the idea that I do not want an American flag on that plane when the bomb is dropped, because of the optics, because of what that means, and so that's important to me, because as soon as we do, we're in this. We are in this war, and you have to assume and accept everything that comes with that. The idea that we once again are going to war with a nation in the Middle East.
Yeah, and one of the text messages, 5600 texting in going, this is different. We're taking out the leaders. This isn't necessarily the globalist Bush-Obama agenda, but
isn't it?
What I remember, though, was we were just going to take out Saddam Hussein, and the people of Iraq were going to love us and rally around the idea of democracy, and every terrorist with an itchy trigger figure dropped in and took pot shots at our sons and daughters because they could.
Yeah, and I remember conversations about regime change. That seems like what we're advocating here, too. So, regime change. And again, it's the Pottery Barn rule. You're involved in breaking it, you bought it. You fix it.
Let's go to the phone lines. Jim in Denver. Good morning, Jim. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
Good morning, Jeff and Bill. Yeah, I don't think we can afford to go into another Middle East war based upon a lie. And, Tulsi Gabbard testified before Congress in March that basically Iran has no nuclear weapons program, and that they're more than a year away from getting a bomb. And Trump said, I don't believe her, I don't believe it. He says, I disagree with what she said. But this is the consensus of our intelligence community. And so how can you just go into a country and go to war with them based on a lie?
Jim, I understand the position. Here's a rebuttal, and I want to get your thoughts on it. So Israel is responding to Iran. Iran has been funding Hezbollah, Hamas, activities in Syria. They've been probably the world's largest player when it comes to terrorism and attacks on the West. The old mantra of just kind of mow the grass. Well, we'll just pop up a leader once here or there and take him out, has failed Israel. They have learned they cannot live next to people that want to wipe them off the face of the earth. They are facing a threat from Iran that is about their annihilation. So they have to take out these type of entities. At this point, can Israel stop, though? Wouldn't that just allow Iran to regroup? And we know Iran would continue to attack Israel. They want them dead. Doesn't Israel have to go all the way at this point?
Israel has crushed every threat, all of Iran's proxies, okay? Hezbollah doesn't exist in an effective form. Neither does Hamas. Israel has already won. And you just can't. This is a war with 80 million people that have been around forever. And let me tell you, just because you can knock out their nuclear facilities, that isn't the end of the war. This thing will go on for 20 years. This thing will go on for 30 years. And let me just put a specter in your mind. In Ukraine, the Ukrainians have discovered that for $600, they can put an explosive on a drone and knock out a tank, okay? It's very simple technology. Everyone has it. Everyone in the United States has it. Hobbyists have it. Well, just imagine, this ongoing war with Iran in the Middle East, and imagine drones with explosives floating over American football stadiums.
Yeah,
All you have to do is have it happen once, and then anytime any drone, whether it had explosives or not, flew over a football stadium, you have panic. And this is the kind of thing that we're going to open ourselves up to.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about some of that blowback. And I want to go back to a little bit, Jim, the beginning of your comment when you cited what Tulsi Gabbard had said, and then you cited what Trump had said. And what worried me most about Trump's statement is the phrase, I think. And now, I'm not impugning his ability to think. That's for another day. But to this one, it's basically, I think this is happening regardless of what the intelligence coming from the people that we pay to do that stuff says. And if Joe Biden, if there wasn't a report that came out from the U.S. government during the Biden administration that said we have 20 million illegal immigrants that have crossed the border in the previous 3.5 years during his administration, and they have committed this long list of crimes and all these murders, and Biden comes out and goes, I think it's much less. I think the immigrants that are coming here are nice, and they are making our country better. People would have lost their minds and go, wait a minute, the people in charge that are doing the number crunching are saying this, and Biden comes out here in his slippery mind and his stumbliness and say, I think something different? It would be a huge deal. But here we have Donald Trump, and I appreciate the call, Jim, saying that, no, U.S. foreign policy is not based necessarily on our intelligence that we derive from the people that are paid to do it, but what one guy thinks about the situation. That's a little spooky.
I think you also have to keep in context the fact that he may be privy to information that not necessarily Tulsi Gabbard has. So remember, he is the tip of where all that information is flowing to. Let's go to Iggy in Denver. Good morning, Iggy. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Well, hello. Basically, I've been trying to follow this whole war on X through the spaces because there's a lot of people that hate Israel on there, and it gets a little boring and after a while. But I don't know what the U.S. TVs and stuff are saying about it. Apparently, they have interviews with people that I actually do believe are in Iran at the time and can. And Israel has had some success there, and yes, some people, but not a huge amount of people, started leaving Tehran when the president asked or said to leave. And then we're talking probably 1 million or more people. That's quite a bit but there's like 10 million people in Tehran, and most of the damage, according to several sources, one guy in particular seemed to really know what he's talking about. Most of the damage has been done by what Israel has, the assets that they have placed in there in Iran, where they were launching drones. They had drone shops to manufacture them. They could launch drones and missiles, small missiles, remotely. These people, a lot of them have been caught and rounded up, but they've done quite a bit of damage. The F-35s and stuff, they didn't see a lot of them over Tehran. There's a claim that there's about 5 F-35s that have been shot down, but I haven't seen any evidence of it. I don't see pictures, and I don't see pilots. They claim that tonight they're supposedly got some F-35 or 2 F-35 pilots that they're going to showcase for everybody, but who knows if that's just propaganda or not.
Do you remember Baghdad Bob?
Oh yeah,
him during the war going, no, Iraqis are winning. Meanwhile, like the lights are shaking.
Yeah. And also remember that in these kind of wars, you want to show off your trophies. Yeah. And so if you do shoot down the planes, you want to show wreckage to show how powerful you are. One, because it is outward facing to your potential enemy, saying we can take you out of the sky, but it's also inward facing communication because you are trying to bolster the support of your citizens, saying we got your back, you don't have to be scared, we're taking down these planes. So yeah, I'm going to be super curious about who they parade out in front of everybody, and if we ever see any footage or anything of the pieces of these fighters that supposedly have been shot down.
Oh, a lot of AI has already been used as far as presenting things online.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that,
pictures. Yeah, and so the biggest thing that comes out of this is Israel has totally underestimated Iran's capacity with rocket missiles. Iran has a bunch of missiles, and these they've used a bunch of the older ones, and the newer ones are coming online, and Israel is running out of interceptors. They've made the statement they only have like a week left of interceptors, but they're also missing. Some of these interceptors are missing. The rockets coming in because they're coming in so fast. Some of them are actually malfunctioning, falling them back onto Tel Aviv. And Tel Aviv, there's not a lot of stuff out there. I like Trey Yanks when it comes to reporting out of Tel Aviv, and he doesn't have a lot to say. They're not letting him say, but there's a lot of destruction in Tel Aviv. Haifa's taken a huge hit. That's their main port. And
yeah, Iggy, I appreciate it. We're just up against a break here. Thank you for the call. We've got Jimmy Sengenberger coming up in the next hour. He's going to be talking about Mike Lindell's case. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.